Let me see here. Make sure I'm live everywhere I'm supposed to be. Well, hello, my whatnot people and my YouTube people. Let me get my YouTube loaded here so I can see the chat. If I disappear in YouTube, I'm sorry. I have to get a new cord for this laptop because it's not holding a charge for some odd reason. Let's see here. Yeah. So there's the chat. Okay. So we're starting out with book number 1. And it's going to be a little different tonight because I'm opening boxes and I open the boxes up. You will see what I see. And now I'm starting to get some of the same genre. So it's going to be mixed, but not as mixed. And welcome in. So this is the first book. It is called Castro's Daughter by David Hagberg. And this is the condition it's in. It's actually from 2013 as a copyright. And this is what the book's about. Cuban intelligence service Colonel Maria Leon is called to the bedside of a dying Fidel Castro. Although Leon is Castro's illegitimate daughter, he has never acknowledged her until now. Castro makes Leon promise to find the legendary former director of the CIA, Kirk McGarvey, and ask him to help her search for Cibola, the fabled 7 cities of gold. As the Cuban government unravels in the wake of Castro's death, Leon, desperate to track down the elusive McGarvey, kidnaps his closest friend, Otto Rank, to force McGarvey's hand. Mac's meeting with Leon launches the most bizarre mission of his entire career, one that takes him from Cuba to Mexico City to Spain, and finally to an ancient site in New Mexico that the Spanish conquistadors called the Jornada de Muerto, the journey of death. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I tried. So let me get this run in. We'll do 30 seconds. Welcome in, She-Hawk. She-Hulk. I always try to welcome people in case they have their voice off. Hey, Masty for life. Welcome in. And I have information in my show notes. Hey, Shamir. I have information in my show notes. So I don't go in any specific order. Let me write that down. If I come across it, I will let you know. I have a little book here that I keep requesting, and the people, if I come across those requests, I can tag you. So let me put this in here. Stiff for life. Star Wars that is pre-Disney. Star Wars. And you want Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, a lot of people like the older copies. If I come across them, I'll tag you, but I don't order books. I am actually doing a clean out of my COVID stranded store because I have a lace and shoes bookstore for 11 years. So whatever I unbox is what I'm putting up. But if I come across them while I'm unboxing, I'll make sure to tag you. If I find any. I probably won't on the Alice in Wonderland, but I'm not sure about the other two. You're welcome. But I've had like attic cleanouts and stuff, and I do have books from the 1800s, but I'm not going to post those here if I do go to sell those books. Those will definitely be under a vintage, more vintage area. But I'm not going to be doing those for a little while. I'm trying to get my store cleaned out first because I kind of turned it into my craft room. And I'm running out of space. So, yeah, there's a story behind it. Hey, Lou Big Fish. Yeah, me too. I'm a crafter. I like doing vintage crafts. So I'm into all of it. But I'm not getting rid of my older stuff. Sorry. I have showed before the oldest piece that I have. I got lucky. This actually came out of a storage unit. And it's a teaser. Just so you know. This is actually a ledger in Spanish. It was done in the 1800s of before airplanes. They used hot air balloons to carry cargo. And this was from 1884. There's all kinds of dates in this, but this isn't for sale. It took me forever to get a hold of this because the locker guys lost it for 10 months. And when it finally came up for auction, because it was a fight, let me tell you. But yeah, I have a lot of that kind of stuff too. But for now, it's just reading stuff. Let's see here. Number 2, the second book I have. You never know what's going to pop out of what I have, though, because I have such a variety. It's crazy. And I mix my genres. So if you're looking for sci-fi, you're going to find it under action and suspense. I have everything mixed together because I don't want to have a crap ton of different categories, if that makes any sense. This is Reading with Morgan, a novel of the Civil War by Jim R. Woolward. And my action and suspense is a mixture of everything. The only thing that I have separated is true military from just written military. But like my educational self-help books, it could be school books, it could be autobiographies, because to me it's all a learning experience. So it's all under educational. So it's like I said, you just got to look through the store because I try to keep everything posted and live so you can go through at any point. And if you type in BL, all my book lists should come up because I have crafting items and fashion items mixed in there too. So, but it's all in the show notes. But anyways, this is number 2. For 7 years, Ty Madison never knew if his father survived the Mexican War, but when he received news that his father is alive and he's joined the Confederate forces of General John Morgan, Ty leaves home to enlist with the Raiders. Owen Madison turns out to be everything Ty imagined he would be: a good man, a true mentor, a great soldier, but a Confederate assassin's bullets nearly divided father and son yet again. From the blood-soaked chaos of Morgan's devastating defeat at Buffington Island to the harsh brutality of the Union prison, Ty Madison will do whatever it takes to fight and survive for his father, for the love of a beautiful woman, for the life and the land he treasures. And this is from 2014 is the copyright. And hello, Nicole and Gemma on my YouTube. Sorry, I'm running two computers so I could see the chat on my YouTube channel too. Okay, so this is the second one. I think the oldest book I have ever seen, personally myself, was from, I can't remember if it was the 1600s or 1700s. Somebody had a Bible, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the imagery was just so beautiful. Old Bibles were really popular, and I met quite a few sellers through YouTube too that had a lot of old stuff. And the next book we have, sorry, I got a message through my phone. I was like, what the heck is that? Ugh, I thought it was something with family, but I don't know. Weird texts come through sometimes. I just ignore them. Okay, so the next book I have, sorry for the interruptions. I also have A Road to 1K um, with my dog on it. All the money from that's going to go. I sent a surprise. It could be anything from stickers to postcards or whatever I decide to throw in. And all the money goes into buying her treats. But I wanted to do something different for my Road to 1K. So this is a beat up book. You can tell it was definitely well read because I do mostly used books. This is called Needful Things by Stephen King. And this is from 1991. Definitely shaded. It's a definitely thick book. A wonderful new store has opened in the little town of Castle Rock, Maine. Whatever your heart's secret desire, sexual pleasure, wealth, power, or even more precious things is for sale. And even though every item has nerve-shattering price, the owner is always ready to make a bargain. In this chilling novel, one of the most potent imaginations of time, evil is on a shopping spree and out to scare you witless under needful things. I think I saw the movie of this, but when I put a book under poor shaped, it's usually because of a discoloration. But you have my word, you'll get the story. I make sure that none of my books have ripped pages or anything. So nothing like being in the middle of a book and the pages are gone. So I check through all the books before I run them. And welcome in, Monarch. Gemma, you're so funny. Love you too. My people on YouTube are hysterical. But I hope everybody's having a good day. We finally got a break in our hot weather. So we've had a nice breeze. It's been awesome. I take my puppy and sit outside with her every once in a while. Okay, so the next book is another Stephen King book. And I always like showing the shape the books are in so you know what you're getting. This is this book. It's called Gerald's Game. It's got a crease right here. Definitely aged. This is from 1992. This is my little cheat sheet, so that won't be coming with it. This one here is pretty cool. Could you imagine having Stephen King as a son and him bring home papers as a parent and you read them and you're like, what? I think about that all the time. It's like, what's my kid going through? Why would my kid read a book like this? Does it have a synopsis? Where's your synopsis at? Gerald's Game doesn't have a synopsis on it. Well, that's strange. Most of the time they do, and I thought this one did. Okay. Gerald and Jesse Burlingame have gone to their summer home on a warm weekday in October for a romantic interlude. After being handcuffed to her bedpost, Jessie tires of her husband's game, but when Gerald refuses to stop, she lashes out at him with deadly consequences. Oh, okay. Her husband dies of a heart attack while she's handcuffed to the bed, and she has no rescue. I think I saw this too. It had to be a movie. So we'll run this one. Usually, if the synopsis isn't there, I stick it in just so people know what it's about, just in case. But I didn't know this didn't have one. It's so weird. Usually it's in the front or on the back of the book, but it isn't on this one. He left me in suspense. Okay. See if he did the same thing on this one. Yes, I come across a box that had some of his stuff in it. And he probably did it again. No. This is Stephen King, the drawing of 3, the Dark Tower 2. And I think there's more than one book here. So this completes the second of 6 or 7 books. So, yeah, this is part of a series. It says, the second volume in an epic series, the drawing of the 3, while pursuing his quest for the Dark Tower through the world that is a nightmarish, spit it out, nightmarishly distorted mirror image of our own Roland, the last gunslinger, is drawn through a mysterious door that brings him into contemporary America, where he links forces with the defiant young Edie Dean and with the beautiful, brilliant, and brave Odetta Holmes in a savage struggle against underworld evil and otherworldly enemies. Once again, Stephen King has masterfully interwoven dark, evocative fantasy and icy realism. This is almost like a sci-fi in a way, but I want to put that this is book 2. So I try to make notes. In the Dark Tower series. So that way, if I come across the rest of them, I can put them together. So you have the set. But right now, this is all I have of this one. Hey, maybe so. What are you guys saying over here? You are, Gemma. You're awesome. There's a delay on YouTube, though. It's funny because it'll show over on Whatnot first. Because, you know, YouTube's always got delays. And then the next book we have down the list Yep is missing it. I think Yep is my person who likes sci-fi. This one here is called Endgame Enigma by James P. Hogan. That's spaceship. It's pretty cool. It's like debossed. And this is what the book looks like. And this is from 1988. Look, it's even got a Hills. That's funny. Department store sticker. It might be a step beyond Star Wars and one step closer to World War III. It is the near future with its power and influence. Wanting the Soviet Union has launched Valentina Tereshkova, a giant space station capable of housing 12,000 citizens into orbit around the Earth. But the colossal off-world colony, the peaceful utopian experiment, is alleged to be, or is it the last desperate weapon of a crumbling superpower bent on global domination? U.S. computer scientist Paul Bryce and agent Lou McCain are sent to learn the truth, only to find themselves trapped in the station's awesome prison facility with a brilliant and eccentric group of dissident inmates. Bryce and McCain seek to unlock from within the secret of the mysterious station, but how will they ever report their findings? So there is a sci-fi book. Well, hey, Mrs. Griff. It's like a revolving door over here, in and out, in and out. I wish it would show who leaves. It just shows who joins. I noticed some of the streams have that turned off. I don't know how they do it. Yes, Jemmy. That's why you are loved, because you are silly, but you're also awesome. You send out important messages to people, and that's what matters. I love it. That's what friends do. We share our cranky side. We share our good side. We share all of our sides. So that is that book. This one here, he scares me. Look at that face. His eyeballs look like they're going to shoot lasers. They just do. This is The Age of Zeus by James Lovegrove. I thought this was going to be just about like back then, but it isn't. It's actually got a story. So this is what this one is, and it's a 2010 copyright. Nice thick book. It says the Olympians appeared a decade ago, living incarnations of the ancient Greek gods. See, that's what I thought. I thought this was going to be Greek mythology, but it's kind of turned into something else. On a mission to bring permanent order and stability to the world, resistance has proved futile, and now humankind is under a jackboot of divine oppression until former London police officer Sam Acklehurst receives an invitation too tempting to turn down, the chance to join a small band of guerrilla rebels armed with light-tech weapons and battle suits, calling themselves the Titans. They square off against the Olympians and their ferocious mythological monsters in a war of attrition which some will not survive. And I did like the Clash of the Titans. That was actually a good movie. I took classical mythology when I was in high school. It was very interesting. Hey, Vitamin. Hey, I hated K. Some of these screen names are so funny. Or I hate DK? I don't know. It's funny trying to figure out IDs over here. Have to say Vitamins is a good one, though. But yes, this being is scary looking on this book. Okay, so the next book we have, this one here is called On Scope. It's a sniper novel by Jack Coughlin with Donald A. Davis. These are one of the long ones. These are like a longer book. This is a 2014 copyright. The fight against terror, the U.S. consulate in Barcelona has been attacked. The terrorist mission to put Madrid on a path back to Islamic rule. America's response unleashed its black operations team. Task Force tried it to take them down. Now it's up to Gunnery Sergeant Kyle Swanson, one of the world's best snipers, and his beautiful sidekick Beth Ledford to go on the attack. There are no rules. The force behind the terrorist attack is the top secret network of Islamic bankers called the Group of Six. The group's allies will do whatever it takes to uphold the radical Islamic takeover at any imaginable cost. Once Kyle Swanson's name is unearthed from secret files, he and the group's most vicious hitmen will become hunter and prey. As Kyle and Beth fight against an unknown enemy, the fate of the world power hangs in the balance, and all it takes is one shot. So that is that book. Some interesting ones. I like action and suspense, but my favorite's true crime. I like that ID. Maybe so. I know one thing over here, it's hard to get people to talk. Need a good chat going. Not like my YouTube people. My YouTube people love to chat. Okay. So the next book we have, this one here is called Slow Apocalypse by John Varley. This is from 2013. I'll try to show the condition all the way around as best I can. Despite wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as 9/11, the United States' dependence on foreign oil has kept the nation tied to the Middle East. The scientists have developed a cure for America's addiction, a slow-acting virus that feeds on petroleum, turning it solid. But he didn't consider that his contagion of Saudi oil field could spread to infect the fuel supply of the entire world. In Los Angeles, screenwriter David Marshall heard the scenario from a retired U.S. Marine and a government insider who acted as a consultant on Dave's last film. It sounded as implausible as many of his scripts, but the reality is much more frightening than anything he could have envisioned. An ordinary guy armed with extraordinary information, Dave hopes that his survivor's instinct will kick in so he can protect his wife and daughter from the coming apocalypse that will alter the future of the earth and humanity. So that is that one. We have a virus in our oil. You never know what people are going to come up with. These books are interesting, though. Yes, me too, Gemma. I love chatting. Hey, Juicy Vintage and Decor. Welcome, welcome. So the next book we have, I'm a slow seller. I don't do sudden deaths and things. I actually take my time. But it is fun going into those streams. They're actually pretty cool. This one's a bigger book. It's called The Fifth Wave. And this is actually part of a series too. This is by Rick Yancey. And so far, this is the only one I have found that I have. And if you look right in this part, it tells you the first wave is lights out, the second is surfs up, the third is pestilence, and the fourth is silencer. And this one here is book 5 in the Wave series. And this was called The Fifth Wave, which is Speak. And this is from 2013. Pretty thick book. It's interesting. Sometimes in my tent late at night, I think I can hear the stars scraping against the sky. That's interesting. It's like a mystery book. I don't see a synopsis on this one either. It says, prepare to set everything aside when you launch into this one. The breakneck pace and high stakes will draw you in, but it's the characters who will keep you turning pages. It's been a long time since I've read a story that's compelling. So these are opinions, but there's no synopsis on this book. What the heck? I don't know why they quit doing that, but anyways, gives you kind of an idea what it's about. So we'll run this one. I don't know if it's the last book or not. Sometimes it's really hard to tell when you pick up a book unless you Google it, because there's been a couple times I've run into series that were supposed to end, but they ended up continuing them. And it's crazy. You know, unless it's like a trilogy where you know there's 3. It's hard when it comes to these kind of books. So there's one series that had 400. I was like, what? It was 400 books. And I was like, geez. We'll see what Google says. But I do try to put them together. It's just I'm unboxing stuff and I have no clue what's in the boxes. So when I unbox, you see what I see. How many books are in the fifth wave? I don't mind looking stuff up. See, on here it says it started as a trilogy, but it's not a trilogy. It says the series started May 2013 with the first book. The Fifth Wave is the sequel titled The Infancy, and it says the trilogy concluded. The final book was The Last Star, but that's not true, because this book here has Lights Out, Surf's Up, Pestilence. It's got 4 listed, and this is number 5. So, like I said, some of these series you just don't know. Because I'm not getting any more than that. Because I think sometimes it's like a hit movie, you know. If it takes off, then they'll continue and, you know, rate the heck out of it. But as far as this says, there's supposed to be 3. And we know that's not true. So, I have no clue. Now, this one here on Goodreads says, I like Goodreads because it's very informative. It has book 1, book 2, book 3. Nope. Then it's got 1 through 3, but it doesn't have this one listed. So, nope. I'm not getting any answers on this one. Keeps saying it's 3 books, but it's not. So, I don't know. I really don't. I can't answer that question. I just know what I have. But like I said, you know, I've told my story like 1,000 times on here. I had a physical bookstore. I have a licensed bookstore. And where I had my book stored, just say I had a roof leak and I had to move everything. And then when I moved it, it was in the area where my hot water tank was, and then it blew up. Water seems to chase my books, so I have no clue where what is anymore because it's been moved and shifted so much. And then COVID shut down. It was a nightmare, really. I mean, you got to pretty much have a separate building, but even that can leak. You know what I mean? You always got to have an inventory place for your business. And so what I did is I've just been unboxing, because when COVID shut me down, just what can you do? You can't move. So I just wanted to wait because I didn't have the area to open everything. Because how I had my bookstore set up, what was on the shelves, as it would, people would buy stuff, I would just replenish. Well, when your business is closed, you can't do that. So I'm just unboxing everything now, because my bookstore is now turned into half craft room, because that's what it became when COVID shut down. So right now I'm just going through my books, and if people are interested or not, it's kind of like a last chance bookstore in itself, because the ad that I ran was, don't throw your books away, call me, because you wouldn't believe how many people are just throwing books away, because there's just so many. So I'm just trying to find a home for them, and once I do, I'm happy, and if I don't, then they go into a community yard sale in the Facebook Marketplace, and if they're not sold there, they get my YouTube people watching, they get Whatnot people, they go into the marketplace, and then they go into the community yard sale, and that what doesn't sell is just going to be donated to probably our local Salvation Army, and if they don't sell them, they just usually recycle. So whatever, it's going through a bunch of different channels, though, because I can't stand it, knowing that there's books being thrown in the garbage. It drives me nuts, especially when they're in good condition. But I have them in all conditions. I have them from like almost brand new to discolored, like this one, because of age. That's why I like showing the book, because some people don't like the age look. Some people don't like watermarks. Me, I don't care. As long as the story's there, I'll read it. That's just me, though. Because you can't please everybody. But this is pretty much, I love books. I just can't help it. So then here is going into the romance section. So what I've tried to do is I put 10 of each genre, and now I'm starting to run into some of the same genres. So I'm going to have repeats. Like I might have a set of 10 romances, and I'll switch to something else and then come back to romance, because now it's getting to the point where it's whatever I clean up and get ready for the sales, because I go through them all, make sure all the pages are there. You wouldn't believe how many books I found with ripped pages. And some of them are stamped with honor. I think that used to be another bookstore that these came from. So there's a couple people wrote their initials in that read these books. They're in pretty good condition now. This is a 2014. This is called The $1 Million Question. It's a Harlequin Kiss by Kimberly Lang. The Man with the Money. Evan Lawford is the last person in the world. Ballerina Olivia Madison wants to ask for financial support. The humiliation of their last encounter has haunted her for years. He may be the one who got away, but for the sake of her art, she'll plaster on a smile and a killer dress and play nice. Except their chemistry is so insane that soon they're bypassing nice and going straight to flaming hot. The trouble is, resisting Olivia's charms has never been Evan's strong point, and when a girl's this intriguing, there's a fine line between a minor relapse and a full-on addiction. And some of these books are even pricey. I try to sell these pretty reasonable, but looking up these new, everything's climbing. But I do know that when COVID hit, books took a spike in the high because they're consistent. Books are always around. You can always find some. And the consistency of them being here, they kind of get taken for granted. But when COVID hit, it was amazing to hear on TV, they were saying that books took a big spike. People were buying them again. and appreciating them again because they're always here. You know, what would people do if the internet just went, poof? You know what I mean? Because you never know. So that's why I like books. I hope they never disappear entirely because it would be really sad. The next book is Flirting with the Forbidden. This is another Harlequin Kiss by Joss Wood, and it says larger print. A couple initials in it. The honor is on the top and the bottom, the stamp. 2014. Somebody put a letter B back here. He can look, but he's not supposed to touch. Bodyguard Noah Fraser hasn't seen diamond heiress Morgan Moreau for 8 years, but the image of her naked body has been imprinted on his mind ever since. The sexy socialite has totally off limits, and it took every ounce of Noah's iron control to walk away. Now he's been hired to protect her again, so picking up where they left off definitely isn't an option. But Noah's body doesn't seem to have got the memo. Keeping his hands off Morgan is a 24/7 battle, and now how can he resist the forbidden when giving in is so irresistibly tempting. So there's that book. And one thing is nice about it is I could leave my books on a 24/7 live so that people can buy them whenever they have the money now. Hey, Vin. Hey, Tupac. Yay. I'm glad you guys got to pop in and say hello. What have you been up to, Vin and Pac? I'm over here selling books on Whatnot. Woohoo! I'll try to read the chat when I get a chance to. I hope you guys are doing good. So the next book I have, you get to hear the smut books. The Best Man for the Job by Lucy King. This is another Harlequin Kiss in larger print. This is from 2014. It's got the stamp on it again. It says, for Celia Forrester, Marcus Black, her brother's best friend, was always totally off limits, especially after that night that nearly happened. It was years ago. But Celia remembers it for all the worst reasons. But now Marcus is back in the picture. He's the best man at her brother's wedding and more gorgeous than ever. It's all kinds of inappropriate, but giving into temptation looks the best way for Celia to get Marcus out of her system. Only their one night comes with consequences, and this time it won't be 15 years until they have to face them, but 9 months. Oops. Somebody's having a baby. Well, good here too. Trying to be. Just trying to sell books and have fun doing it. It's like my full-time job right now, one night a week. I wish Whatnot would show up more in the Google search engine, though, for stuff when people look. The next one we have, this is another Harlequin Kiss. It's For His Eyes Only by Liz Fielding. Stamped up there, stamped there. Excuse me. It's got a little spot right there. Looks like something was spilled on it a little bit. This is a 2014. Well, that's what she was afraid of. Hardworking estate agent Natasha Gordon finds her reputation in tatters when an ad she created gets bungled. She'll do anything to restore her good name, even beg seriously sexy artist Darius Hadley to give her another chance to sell his ancestral home. Only he drives a hard bargain. Natasha might pose naked for his eyes only. He was asking Natasha to take him on trust, but she's learned the hard way not to trust men, particularly those she's working with, let alone men she's taking her clothes off for her. Darius's next outrageous statement, I will too, if it will make it easier for you. So there you go. Another romance. Hey, Noah. Hey, Thrifty Missy. To clear my throat, I'm starting to get a frog in it. I hope you guys are having a wonderful night. Guys and gals. Pretty Corn! There's Pretty Corn! I'm reading the smut books now, Prinny. I think my YouTube fam likes my smut books too. Especially guys. Okay, The Morning After the Night Before by Nikki Logan. It's got the honors stamp. Like I said, I think it was from another bookstore. Some people wrote their initials in there. This is a 2014. The Ultimate Walk of Shame. Ooh. After a party to celebrate her career freedom, aka telling her arrogant boss exactly where he could stick his job, Izzy should be waking up with just a hangover. Instead, she finds herself in bed with said boss, Harry Mitchell, just great. Harry doesn't sleep with employees, and waking up with Izzy is not the start to the day he imagined. Oh my gosh, my friend Izzy on here is not in here to hear her name in this. But having her sprawled beneath him feels like heaven. Even better is the fact, since Izzy's resigned, Harry can break his own rule over and over again. Oh my gosh. These books are naughty. Yes, smut books. Oh, do I have a story to share with you? Woo! You wouldn't believe it. I can't do it here. It's not for whatnot ears. It's crazy. It's getting to the point, Prenny, where you can't trust people, period. I gotta send you this. Just give me a second. I'm gonna send you this in Messenger. You ain't gonna believe this. This happened to me today. Hold on. Gotta get you the receipts. And then I'm gonna send you the print. I about died. Like, anyways. Moving on to the next book. Nothing surprises me anymore. So here is Harlequin Kiss, Romance for Cynics by Nicole Marsh. It's in a larger print. It's got one set of initials in it. There's the honor again just on top, the stamp. This is a 2014. Must not fall for fake boyfriend. Kushal Burgess' PR team has come up with a plan to salvage his reputation and show his softer side by entering him in a Valentine's Day competition to find Australia's most romantic couple. It's so ridiculous it might actually work. The hitch: he doesn't even have a girlfriend, but that's not about to stop him. Thanks to good for nothing ex gardener Lucy Grant hates Valentine's Day. But when Cash makes her an offer too good to refuse, Lucy finds herself half the most cynical couple in Australia. The only problem is when a man fakes it this well, a girl might be tempted to turn fiction into fact. And they're kissy facing. Look at that kissy face. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I've had a few people pop in and out, check some stuff out, ask for some requests. But I'm glad this stays live when I'm not here. I had one girl order a book so far when I wasn't live, and I was like, yes. So, who knows? But I do know one thing. You wouldn't believe how organized it has been getting here. It's been so nice. I started getting my supplies for my house stuff and get ready to buy the paints to do this room. But I still have a lot of moving out of things. But it eventually get there. But it's looking good. I actually got the mop out one of the big rooms down here and start putting totes in it. And it's been heaven to organize. People don't even know what this means to me. This is a Harlequin heartwarming romance. Kansas Cowboys, the reluctant rancher. I don't care about him. I like the horse. That would be me. There's this stamp. And then there's a couple people that scribbled their initials. This is 2016. She can't stay for long. She just needs a place to hide. Now pregnant and on the run, Blossom Kennedy jumps at the opportunity to work as a caregiver to an injured elderly rancher. While she tends to the man, his handsome grandson takes over at the Circle H. Logan Hunter is tough, loyal, and wonderful father to his young son, but Blossom needs a port in a storm more than she needs love, and soon enough she'll be moving on, unless she somehow stumbled into the exact place where she and her unborn child are supposed to be by Logan's side. Oh, I would love to land on a ranch with horses. I'd be, yes, please. That would be me. And my YouTubers are over here giving me grief. Almighty Vin, I didn't get to pick on him. I call him Naughty Vin. He's a gamer, always go in his stream. I said, Naughty Vinny, I'm not naughty. Yes, you are. I said so. I miss picking on my YouTube people. Okay, so the next one we have, we're doing this. So what have you been up to? Did you have a good trip? Oh my goodness, I got a raid. Thank you, Last Word. You're so sweet. Hey, Deborah. Hey, Sophie. Hey, Cheryl's Crafty World. Yay! There's one of my crafter people. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. Let me find a good one. What do we have? I think I put that one up last time. Let's do this one. We're going to change this one. I don't know about you all, but I love cooking. And one of my favorite things to do is I'll get recipe books. And then I write down my favorite recipes out of them. And then you can resell them. It's your yard sale or whatever you want to do. So for the raid, I'm going to drop this book down to $1. It was $4. These are really good condition. So if anybody's interested, I'm going to run this for $1. And it's called Aroma. It's got all kinds of really cool recipes in it. I love it. It's running. It's like different soups and stuff. I don't have it out here. It's put away. But the picture's in the bin. I guess I should bring it back out here. It's put away. I don't have the ones in the bin out here, but I should. I guess I should keep a couple out here to show people. I know I'm terrible at that. Tomorrow's Thursday at 6:30. What time is your live, Prinny? Do you go live tomorrow? Because I know Penguin Boss does. She goes live at 7:30. Is it going to be on your channel, Last Word? I'm live for Pingy on Thursdays, and I hate missing it. I'll come in, though. Oh, okay. That works. Sure, that'll be fun. Oh, I'll go to the meeting. I don't like missing Penguin Bosses, though, either, because I like seeing what stuff she has for sale. My nose pretty. Oh, that will be fun. Somebody showed me, I went into a live, and this was really interesting, too, speaking of stuff to do with books. This girl, Windy City Boutique, I met her in another stream, and they're really nice. It's two young ladies that run a company together. And she showed me a book that was wrapped up really pretty, and it had the brown twine around it, and then it had a wax stamp on it. And it's a mystery book. They sell them like brand new for $23 a piece. Last Word. I mean, this was just another idea that was really cool that somebody showed me. And she said, but they'll put a note on it, like a mystery, a hardback, like how many pages. Yeah, and I thought that was kind of a cool idea. A little expensive, though, because I sell my books cheaper. But I thought that was cute. And she says people really like it. And then there's some, a couple that do boxes. They put books in boxes and sell them by the box, like almost like a BoxyCharm, but it's like books, like a mystery book box. But my gosh, it's so pricey. Everything's so expensive now. But anyways, the next book I have, you can feel free to browse because I got tons. And I'm leaving them live so that people can buy them when I'm not here live. And I like that option. Because like I said, I've been having sales while I'm sleeping. I like that. So the next book I have is called Love Special Delivery. And I noticed there's a stamp on her. Like I said, I think it was another bookstore that had these before me. This is a 2017. But Whatnot needs to boost. With the money they make off of the sellers on here, they need to start boosting listings. I have noticed a couple times I've searched now in Google, and Whatnot has popped up. It's very low in the spots they show up, but it will eventually get there, I'm hoping. So we'll see. But I was shocked when I Googled something the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, there's Whatnot. It's finally showing. But there's people that wrote their initials. This is what we do for family and love. Third generation firefighter Captain Ben Libby is sworn to keep Harmony Valley safe, but a recent series of fires points to arson. Not that Ben really suspects Mandy Zapian, who's back in town to reopen the defunct post office, a potential fire hazard. Turns out Ben and Mandy, she of the incredible smile, have a lot in common. They both like to rebuild their lives. Mandy's raising her teenage sister just as Ben's devoted to his godchild. Though lately he started to suspect she's his biological daughter. Amid secrets and family dramas, do Ben and Mandy have what it takes to go the distance together? And this is a larger print. Yes. I was in a sale yesterday where it was really glitchy. It was horrible. The giveaway froze the whole stream. Somebody did a giveaway in their stream and it froze the whole stream. Like everybody glitched at the same time. It was crazy. Whatnot's crazy. But it's still fun here. I have to say, one of the biggest things that I do like about Whatnot that I don't miss about Etsy, and it's not to put down other platforms, it's just a fact. You have 30 cents, or when you upload something on Etsy, you have to pay 20 cents per item. And in 5 months, if it doesn't sell, you have to up it again. You can set it to manual or to auto do it. I always set it to manual. But I love it that Whatnot doesn't take out that fee until you sell it. And you can post everything for free and it doesn't cost you till it sells. And that is one of the things I love because I don't have to keep looking at the listings all the time to see if they need upgraded. That part I don't miss. But I just wish that they would be boosted more up on when you Google search something. You know, you get like thrift books and all these other places that's been out here longer. And I like to see Whatnot show up a little more. It'd be awesome. So the next book I have, this is cute. Oh my gosh, that baby. Little chubby cheeks. This is His Baby's Dilemma by Catherine Lanigan. The initial there, the stamp. I think the baby is so cute. 2017. Must they always be continents apart? Nobody expects Paris fashion designer Grace Radin to settle down in her Indiana town, least of all Micah Barzani. 15 months ago, he turned to her for comfort and compassion following a farming accident that left him permanently injured. Then she returned to France and went silent on him until suddenly Grace shows up on his doorstep with life-altering news. Micah, a father, he's barely learned to navigate his post-accident life, but this could be a chance to become the man he's always wanted to be, the husband and father Grace and their baby son need. Now Micah just has to convince her to stay. And it says it's in larger print. So we'll run this one. Shabir, are you going too? Do you know about the meeting for tomorrow? The drawing of the three. Sure, Jillian. I'll show it to you. Yes. Yes, Shamir, she does books too, last word. They're having a book meeting tomorrow at 6:30 on Last Word Bookstore's channel. So follow her so we can all get together. Oh, thank you, Jillian. I appreciate it. I can't follow back on that channel just yet because it's messed up. So many things in my life is messed up. YouTube messed up that channel because it tried to brand it and I denied it. And now they wiped out all my comments. Oh my gosh, it's been a nightmare. I'm trying to fix that channel too. Okay. One of these days, I'll fix it. The drawing of three. I'm working on it. Yes. The drawing of three. This is actually book 2 in the Dark Tower series, so that you know. I don't know if I have the rest because everything's in boxes. Oh, nice. Well, that's what this one says, book 2. Do you still want this one? Oh, you need to. Okay, well, this is a condition it's in, so you see. It's in pretty good condition, too. And I always go through my books to make sure everything's there, so you know you're going to get your pages. Because I actually did. I got it, and I'm not putting down where I got it from, but I got a book from the Goodwill one time, and I got clear to the center, and like 2 pages were missing. I was like, no! So my word behind my store, I go through every book so you know you're going to get the story. Thank you so much for your purchase. But yeah, sometimes it takes learning lessons to do the right thing when you have your own business. And I even had a Stephen King come in one time, and it was a hardback, and it was very interesting because it was like brand new. And I got to page 11 and 15, and all of a sudden you saw text come in here, and then there was nothing. And all I kept thinking was, how many books did they publish that they didn't catch? And so I went online and I actually found the inserts of those pages missing. So I wrote it in pencil, but I can't sell that. But I had a friend who likes Stephen King, so he took the book and I just gave it to him. But yeah, there was 2 complete pages like that. And somebody told me that even if you return, like if you contact the publisher, they just give you a new book. You don't get like anything special. Like, a double stamped penny. You don't get any good things from it. You just get a new book. But yeah, it happens. And I had one book come in my bookstore. I had 119 pages repeated. I kid you not. And I wrote down on the book, 119 pages repeated. I make notes when I see that kind of stuff. It's crazy, the stuff you see in books sometimes. Hey, C. Edwards. I even had a series for a little bit on my YouTube. If you go to the search engine and you type in treasures found in used books and put Tammy's Passions, you'll see a series I had started where I was showing things that I found in used books, because there were pictures, believe it or not, of families that I was scared to death that the people would never get them back. Like I have one that looks like a grandmother and the grandchildren, and I was hoping maybe someday they would see my YouTube channel. I know who those belong to, and I kept them in a drawer. You wouldn't believe the pictures I found. It was crazy. But I was like, oh my gosh, that would be terrible to lose your family pictures in a book and not even realize it. So I started taking names of people who I would get books off of, just to make sure, they don't lose their pictures, because that would be horrible. So I'll put that one aside. And the last romance book I have, this one is called The Music Box by Cheryl Rivas. And then this one is 2011. It's got a little bit of rating right there. Other than that, it's pretty good. It's a secret of song, a long journey home. Navajo policeman Ben Tomey was out of his element and knee-deep in something worse than Window Rock's usual chaos. Wealthy Eden Travoy, the little visitor he'd once adored, was back on the reservation, all grown up and tangled in secrets about her lost heritage. She needed Ben's help, and somehow he just couldn't turn her away. But then's people said the outsider would never fit into his world, and Eden had her doubts about her newfound heritage. Yet as Eden learned more about where she came from, she discovered where she truly belonged with Ben. For some reason, I got the same number for 2 books. I hate when that happens. Hey, Goldman. This one should be... Sometimes Whatnot, I think, changes our numbers. You know, like when you're typing and your words change, like your spell check. This should actually be 934. I'm going to have to go in and change it. Because 934 is not there. I always have to double check everything on here. Edit. Should be 934. See if that fixed it. Yeah, it did. Crazy. Okay, now we go into the educational books. These are my genres for tonight. If you see anything else that you are interested in, just let me know. I don't go in any specific order. I just go in the order down the list until somebody sends me a request. This one is called The Impossible Will Take a Little While by Paul Roget-Loeb. This is a 2004. It's got some markers down here. I don't know what the person was doing. But anyways, what keeps us going when times get rough? The impossible will take a little while. Political leaders and heroic activists show us the way. Paul Roget-Loeb, the acclaimed author of The Soul of a Citizen, brings together an inspiring collection of essays and stories that range across nations, eras, and political movements, from international legends Nelson Mandela and Václav Havel to American icons Cornel West and Alice Walker, to the untiring, unheralded activists working for peace, justice, and the health of our planet. These writers explore a path of heartfelt community involvement that leads beyond despair to compassion and hope. Looks like it's in good shape. So there is that book. Sometimes I get some really interesting political books. I know, pretty. I am a mess. I'm going to get a drink. I'm so thirsty. I don't know if you guys like Pure Life tea. Oh, I love this tea. It's so good. It is like the best tea ever. If you don't want to brew your own. Hey, Melinda. I'm always a mess, pretty. Always. Always got something going on. The next book is called... This is actually really good, especially for this day and age. Sometimes I think writers are a little ahead of their time. How I Stayed Alive When My Brain Was Trying to Kill Me. One Person's Guide to Suicide Prevention by Susan Rose Bonner. And this is so good. It's got a little bit of ripplage in the front there where pages like were marked. It looks like there might even have been a paper clip. And this is a really good self-help book. And I've always put this kind of stuff under my educational because it is. 10 things you can do to stay alive when your brain is trying to kill you. Release anger safely. Call 1-800-SUICIDE. Simple tasks and activities. Pray for relief. Keep yourself safe. Follow a crisis plan, hold on to hope, go to the emergency room, call a friend, find a companion, and look how that goes. Ask for help. I love this book. I saw this, I thought, oh my goodness, this is so good. So there's that. Some of these books are just so informative, and some people could just use this kind of stuff. You just never know. These kind of books would be even cute to hand out to people in a crisis center. You know, you just never know. Society today is crazy. It's crazy what goes on. You just never know. Okay, so the next book we have, the stuff I just sent you, Prinny, it just blew my mind. It just did. Nobody's Perfect. This is a good one. How to Give Criticism and Get Results by Dr. Hindry Weisinger, Norman M. Lobsens, because I know some people, they can't handle any kind of criticism. It's really sad. I like knowing things. I mean, at the end of the day, you can take in a bunch of people's advice. This is like a linen copy. And then, put it together. I always listen to people's advice. And then I put it together and decide what I want to do with it. This is 1981 copyright by Dr. Henry Weisinger and Norman L. I'll probably butcher his name. Lobsens. I don't know how to tell you this, but if we don't actually use these words when we offer criticism, we think them. And implicit these words is an assumption, however useful a particular criticism is meant to be, it is bound to deflate an ego, hurt someone's feelings, or degenerate someone's ability. And I do know that words, how you word things, matters too. I've learned that having both my daughters. One daughter I can talk to and we have good communication voice wise, but the other one, I tend to communicate better with her through notes. So texting works better with her, and it's just interesting. And I actually read a story in one of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books about that, where this dad wrote his daughter notes and they had the best communication. I totally get that. Therein lies a paradox of criticism. On the one hand, we think it will help the recipient. On the other, we feel will hurt his or her feelings. Thanks to Nobody's Perfect, the latter need no longer immobilize us. There are ways to give positive criticism and get positive results, even in the most delicate situation. Nobody's Perfect will show you, among other things, how to avoid the factors responsible for destructive criticism, select the right time and place to give criticism, take criticism in a way that benefits you, know just what to say and how to say it, evaluate the worth of a criticism you have received, determine if a specific criticism is worth giving, make a general criticism more specific and thus more effective, rephrase a criticism to enhance its acceptance, make sure your criticism is correctly understood, assess the source of criticism, evaluate the cost, reward the factor of criticism, ensure that your interpretation of criticism is accurate, give sexual criticisms without wounding your partner, accept criticism from a sexual partner, know when honesty is really a facade for anger, criticize children without doing lasting damage, respond when your children criticize you, give and take criticism on the job, distinguish a criticizing boss from a critical boss, free yourself from the trap of self-criticism. This sounds like a good book too. Very interesting. It covers lots of topics. Hey, J. King. J. Kingsbury, who is over here. Hey, Bud Files. Trying to keep up with both chats. It's so weird because that one night I told you, Pretty, I had 1.9 thousand views on that one video on YouTube, and it hasn't happened again. I don't know what happened. It's almost like YouTube's algorithm promoted me or something. And then it stopped. And it's like, because I told my husband I didn't do anything different. So I don't know what caused that. But that was pretty wild. I wouldn't even have known about it if Robert hadn't sent me a screenshot. I didn't even pay attention. I was like, oh my. And then this is the Modern Family Health Guide. It definitely has seen its days. Look at that. Woo! But the jackets do their job. But look, this is what I think is cool. Something was stored in here because it wasn't this part that made this impression. I love when that happens in books. It's wild. But the cover itself is good, but the jacket's really beat up. And this is from 1959. And this was written by Morris Fishman, MD, medical doctor. So I could just imagine the differences between then and now. The Modern Family Health Guide in these two handsome volumes is a comprehensive medical advisor and encyclopedia of the most commonly medical terms and expressions clearly, simply defined. Volume 1 is the basic aspects of family health, contains 27 authoritative chapters on all the basic concepts of health and disease. Each chapter is written by a leading medical authority and gives information and guidance that is literally unavailable to the average person except as presented in this remarkable book. And it goes on to tell you, like cancer, infant and child care, the diseases. And then volume 2 contains literally hundreds of simplified definitions of terms and expressions, mostly often used by doctors. I don't know, is there 2 in this? I didn't get that. Unless there's another book. Yeah, this is volume 1. This must be volume 1. So there must be a second book to this I don't got yet. Because I don't see the definitions. Let's see here. I don't think it is. No, I think it's just the one. And you get volume 2 separately. Yeah. It says volume 1 on the side. Just checking to make sure. All right, Pretty. I'm not going anywhere for a while. Even if I'm reading to myself, I'll be here. The next book we have this one here is the Complete Book of Vitamins by Staff of Prevention Magazine, and this is shot too. The cover, but the inside looks good. It's just the jacket is pretty banged up, and I'm sure there's been improvements since then. This is from 1977, but the cover looks good for as old as it is. And of course, it's all about vitamins. Vitamins in your daily life, a guide to individual vitamins, a complete book of everything you can think of. So, that really no description to really read about that one. Basically, title says it all. So the next book we have this one is called Successful Stand-Up Comedy. And I like putting these books in here because they're educational to how a person could be a stand-up comedian. And this is Jean Parrott. Imagine how funny this book even is. This is from 1994. It says comedy performers learn their craft and discover their comedic identities through experience. The School of Hard Knocks to help them cope with assess, and then learn from their experiences. Master comedy Jean Parrott has distilled the insights he's gleaned from 30 years of writing. For and observing comedy performers in nightclubs, on concert stages, on TV, and in auditions into this comprehensive source of tips that will help beginning comics learn what to look for in themselves, their material, and the comedy profession. Parrott offers invaluable advice on getting good material, rehearsing and polishing an act, conversing with an audience, taking charge of an audience, learning from past performances, and much more. Successful stand-up comedy is a must-all for comedy performers, the aspiring, the novice, and the working professional. So there you go. You want to become a stand-up comedian? Here's a book that'll help you. Hey, BB. Hey, Clay. Welcome, welcome. I am running a stand-up comedian book. Everything's in my show notes. If you're interested in seeing anything, let me know in the auction part. The next book I have is called You and Me, The Skills of Communicating and Relating to Others by Gerard Egan. This is a 1977 book. It's in pretty good condition. And this is really good for people that need to socialize more. This book is intended for people who wish to improve their interpersonal self-awareness skills and assertiveness. It is designed especially for those who wish to pursue their goals through participation in small group experience. It would be ideal if a combination of family living and primary school experiences equipped us with the communication skills we need to involve ourselves intimately and creatively with others. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. If we want these skills, we have to work to acquire them. This book presents a step-by-step system for deepening our awareness of ourselves as social or interpersonal beings, developing the skills we need to make our interpersonal involvement richer, and helping us to become more outgoing or active interpersonally. So if you have social anxiety, this is great. The next book we have is under educational. This one is called Basic Human Physiology, Normal Function, and Mechanisms of Disease. So if you like medical books, this is a 1971. Some people like collecting the older medical books. Just to do comparisons of where we've come to where we are today. Basic Human, it says Normal Function and Mechanisms of Disease. So this covers a lot of topics too. The cell in general, physiology, protein synthesis, the cell and its function, blood cells and body infections, respiration, the nervous system, all the fun stuff. Gastrointestinal. This is a nice book for being that old. It was kept in good shape. And if anybody comes back to do a rewatch, you can always send me a message for any request of anything you're looking for. I will be happy to look and see if I have stuff when I come across it. I can tag you into the stream. The next educational book, this one here is called Marketing Research. Some of these are heavy. They're heavy books. Fundamentals and Dynamics from Gerald Zaltman and Philip C. Berger. And this is a 1975. To get all kinds of graphs and fun stuff in here. Looks like this was once $15.95. It's an introduction to marketing research, the science and marketing, the structure and function of information, problem definition and research design, consumer behavior, the measurement of consumer attitude and preferences, collecting primary data through questions, and administering the questionnaire. Anything to do with data analysis and learning it inside and out. So that is an interesting book. I like school books. What do we have over here? Okay, I'm checking both places. And then the next book this one is Strategic Management. Text, Tools, and Cases for Business Policy by Comerford and Callaghan. And this is from 1985. Some highlighting. It's got advertising and all kinds of cool stuff. for anything to do in management. These charts are fun. Oh, and we have a syllabus in here too. Questions. Administrator 5, this is final exam. Explain the 4 stages of the life cycle curve for a product. So that's kind of cool. You even get questions with the book, and I always leave the ephemera in there, just in case it helps a person. Hi, Sky Jays. Okay, so then the next topic we're going to go into is biblical. Let me get this over here. Put my books the way I had them so I can find them. Go through my piles. So the next book we have is Jesus, Brain Spirituality by Ken Wilson. This is a 2008. Stickers. Ugh, they're such a pain. They make a mess of some books. So begins this expertly written book by Ken Wilson, a pastor, practitioner, and pilgrim, to engage those drawn to the fascinating figure buried in a messy field of religion. Jesus' brand spirituality is for those delusioned by the current swirl of cultural conflict, moralism, and religious meanness that amounts to a form of a trademark infringement on the movement that bears his name. Combining candor, curiosity, and rare insight, the author explores 4 dimensions of the spirituality Jesus left in his wake: active, contemplative, biblical, and communal. Wilson takes readers back to what he calls Jesus' brand spirituality, the way of living that Jesus modeled. The spiritual path is not concerned with processes, power plays, or jumping through hoops to participate. Jesus' brand spirituality is about people who follow the emerging spiritual path of Jesus one step at a time to create a world infused by love, properly understood. And there's a bad sticker that was on there. Other than that, it's in good shape. So we will start it here. Well, hello, Chris and Fleming. Welcome back, Prinny. Any Black Law Dictionary? I have law books, but I'm not sure. But I will write your name down in my request book. And if I find it, I'll tag you or message you if that's okay. CHIS. Is there any specific year you're looking for? Like you want something updated, or does it matter? Law Dictionary. I think the only law books I have seen so far that I have unboxed has been the business law. I think I saw 2 business laws, and I have some of the... Okay. Alrighty. I have some of the Southwestern reporters. I'll show you one. I have these. I think I only have 10 left that I have down here anyways. I don't know. I'll have to look upstairs, but I think this is all I have for now. But these are cool. I like making tags out of these for crafting because the keys on the pages are really cool. These are fun to take apart and turn into crafts, but if people like law, I try to save them for those people too. So reading some of the stories in there are hysterical. Some of the laws are crazy. Hey, Kristen Hall. So the next book I have, but I'll have to keep an eye out for a dictionary. I don't know if I have a dictionary. This one here is called Mistaken Identity, God's Israel versus the Jews by Pat Brooks. This is actually really interesting because it really discusses what people believe to what is true. This is from 1981. It says, forward, who are God's true people? Israel, the Jews, the church. Never one to shrink from a controversial issue, Pat Brooks tackles this explosive subject with her customary zeal and incisiveness, presenting an excellent overview which sorts out facts from fantasy, reality from blatant propaganda. Mistaken identity is bound to ruffle many feathers, shake many weak foundations, and offend many whose preconceived ideas are based on myth information. So she basically straightens out the facts. So that's definitely a different book. I have some books here that talk about the Holocaust and stuff, but I have to watch when I post them because I guess Whatnot doesn't like the Nazi symbol, so I have to cover them on the covers of the books. But the actual books are good. They're not offensive or abusive in any ways. It just tells the stories, but because of the symbol, they don't like it. So I had to put an eraser over one, and I had to put a sticky tab over another one because I think the stories are important to be heard, but I don't want to offend Whatnot, if they don't like the symbols. So I have to cover them on some books. But they are good stories. It's terrible what some people went through. This here was really cute. This was actually done locally, and I thought this was really nice. This is actually a book of poems. It says, I give my heart to Jesus pretty much and to God by Fawn Fulton. And this was out of Pennsylvania. And she has a bunch of her feelings and poems of how she became religious herself and her beliefs. This was from 1991. It says, this unique book of poetry by Fawn Fulton gives readers intimate glimpses and spiritual insight into her own life. The poems portray the refreshing innocence of childhood, the loneliness and pain of adolescence, the sentimental reflections of life, marriage, and motherhood, and a glorious relationship with Jesus Christ. The author, who has a BA degree in comprehensive English from Geneva College, Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, is a former school teacher, television publications editor, magazine writer. She's a poetry editor for Rainbows and Company. Fawn and her husband, Bill, have 4 adult daughters and 10 grandchildren. And of course, this was in 1991. But yeah, somebody's poetry is pretty cool. It's almost like her own personal journal and journey. Hey, Pickett. But I like the cover. I think the cover's cute. Some people that just write their own journals are just so awesome how they do it. Whether it's a glue book or poetry or however they do it to express themselves, it's pretty awesome. And then next we have, if there's anything you want to see, I can go out of order. I'm just going into the order unless somebody puts a request in. This book looks like a good one too. A Mother's Story, 3 Days by Melody Carlson. I would take this. This was pretty purple. I'd take this to be when Jesus was crucified. This was 2005 is when the book was written. How I miss him. My heart aches with missing him, not only because he's my son, but more so because he's my Lord and Savior. I'm not sure I understand the purpose in all of this, but still, I trust Jehovah and have faith. And then, of course, there's a sticker mess, as you know. I always get a sticker the crap out of books, but at least it's on the back and not the front. I need to get some more undo so I can remove some of the stickers. But I like that cover. It's pretty. Emotional. And I saw Passion of the Christ. It was such a good movie. And thank you for your follows. I appreciate it. I don't see anybody over here on my YouTube stream coming in. No. Just my people that was there earlier. But I'm keeping track, trying to. Okay. And then the next one we have. This looks like an interesting title. This one's called Demons and Deliverance, Answers to Questions You've Been Asking in This Age of Increased Satanic Activity by H.A. Maxwell White. Looks like it's got some highlighting in it. And this is from 1989. It says, Satanic activity continues to increase at an explosive rate. But how many Christians know how to combat the host of hell sent forth to oppress, tempt, and trouble them? H.A. Maxwell White provides practical answers to the most frequently asked questions about demons and deliverance. So there is that book. Pretty, are you still in here? I don't know who's in here still. For some reason, I don't think that ran. Let me see. Did my app freeze? Gotta love it when that happens. Yes, it froze. Hold on. I hate when that happens. I gotta refresh, so give me a second. Just stop whatnot. Restart it. Just give me a sec. There we go. I don't know why it does that. That is so weird. Okay, now it's running on my side. Anyways, I'll be right back. I'm going to put this up, even though that book's running. This is my outhouse. I'll be right back. I got to run to the potty, and I'll put potty break. But I love this picture. It's perfect. So I'll be right back. For people that's in here, you can look through the store. Hey, big man. If there's anything in the auction you want to see, let me know, but I will be right back. Oh, plus I gotta stretch my legs. I drank that tea. Now I gotta run to the potty. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Alrighty. I'm out of breath, but I'm back. Hey, Bliss. Hey, Gina. Hey, the people I missed. Yeah, she hears me down here and she's like, I gotta go too, Mom. And I hear her prancing. Okay. So that was my break. I love that outhouse picture. I think that outhouse picture is so cute. Okay. So the next book we have is where I left off. Here is a gold Bible. It's called Donor Edition. Today's English version. It's in pretty good condition. It's from 1976. Got a lot of pictures in it that I thought was really nice. So there we go. We're going to run the Bible. Hey, Chance. I'm trying to get my neighbor to come in here too, Prinny. I keep telling him, I say, come in here and help Maud. He's not answering me. He's ignoring me. My neighbor. His name's Josh. I keep telling him, come in here. Come and help. I'm trying to get him over here to whatnot. He's my adopted younger brother I like to torture. Okay. So the next book I have, this one here is called To Know Christ Jesus by Frank Sheed. And this is from 1980. And it says, this modern spiritual classic by Frank Sheed is brought back into print for the benefit of new generations of readers to develop a deeper, more profound knowledge of Jesus Christ. Sheed's concern with the Gospels is to come to know Christ as he actually lived among us and interacted with the various people he encountered, from his infancy to his passion and death. The things our Lord said and did are studied to find out why they tell us about him as our Redeemer and what that meant for him and for us, and about him as himself, his obedience, his compassion, his tears, his great angers, his joys, and the glimpses we get of his relations with his mother. Sheed has tried especially to see our Lord in his effect upon others, seeing how they saw him, trying to see how they saw him so. Faith, doctrine, prayer, worship, all the content and consequences of Christian belief rest on the person of Jesus Christ as recorded in the Gospels. In this classic study, Frank J. Sheed employs a wide variety of learning, theological sophistication, spiritual insight, and elusive style to bring the reader to a personal encounter with the living Lord. To Know Christ Jesus is justly called one of the most satisfying studies of the Gospels ever made. So that's the synopsis for this book. Hey, Frankendude. Where's Frankendudette? I told my husband, Prinny, I never thought we would have a house one day to hold our marvels. And he looked at me and he's like, what the heck are you talking about, woman? And I said, well, my craft room is Spiderville and I like Spider-Man. I said, you like Batman and we got a bat cave. Because we had a bat in our garage. He started laughing. He says, that's funny. And I said, well, I never dreamed we'd have a house that would hold him one day. But yeah, we have to leave the light on now in the garage until we figure out how it's getting in, because he can't figure out how it's getting in. Craziness. Total craziness. So the next book I have, this doesn't have a jacket on it, but it is The Craft of Sermon. And that's basically what this book is. It's if you want to do a sermon yourself, it's the craft of sermon construction and the craft of sermon illustration. So it basically teaches you how to do a sermon. I love this font, how they have the swirls. So if you want to become a preacher, this would be a good start study. And this is, one was written, this was in Roman numerals, so I had to change it. The craft of the sermon illustration was written in 1950, and the construction was 1951. So, if the person's interested, this is what I like doing. I use my craft item to hold this, to hold it down. Alrighty. Hey, Annie. I met a couple people that wanted to be pastors. I wished I would have found this book at the time. So that they could have used it. How are you, Annie? We have another Annie on here. I call her Naughty Annie. That's our mighty Annie. She likes Annie Oakley. The next book I have is called The Book, and it's actually the Bible again. This is from 1979 from the Tyndale House Publishing, and it's the Bible. So if anybody wants what is called the book is the Bible, here you go. I have one Bible I keep to read, and my other Bible I use to mark and highlight in. So to me, you can never have too many. This next book I have coming up is interesting. I think it's I mean, men or women, either or could read it, but I think it is kind of geared towards males. The way it is, it could be young adult to older, and I think it's cute the way they did it. So this one is called Calling God's Tower. Come in, please, by Coach Floyd Eby. So he uses like an airplane landing. And this is a 2002. It's in really good condition. Says Coach Floyd Eby, climb into the cockpit with Floyd Eby in chapter 1 of this book, fasten your safety belt, and prepare for a fast-moving, never-to-be-forgotten reading experience. You won't get a sermon. Floyd Eby, Coach Eby, to score of men who played football or basketball under his direction, does not preach to anyone. You won't get a list of do's and don'ts, but Coach Eby will help you, as he has thousands of others help themselves through a Christian approach to life. He practices his beliefs daily, flying his Skyhawk to practically every city and village in the country at his own expense, telling how his life has changed through his faith in God and through 4 major basic steps that make living sweeter every day. He has a Bachelor's of Science and a Master's of Science degrees, plus several hours toward a doctorate from the Michigan State University. He is basically a scientist turned teacher and athletic coach, then a businessman in Gideon. He's pretty well-rounded as a person, if you ask me. So there is that book. If you see anything in the auction, please feel free to let me know and I'll show it to you. If it's in my bin, you can make requests and I'll pull it for the next show, but I don't have those ones close to me. I have them sorted. They're just in a different room. Okay, so that is the religious books that I have. Let's put these back over here. Before I have a book of lunch, which is already starting. The way I have these piled is crazy. Get up there. They're like falling. It's like, no, stay where you're at. Okay. So the next books I have. Welcome back, Pretty. We are starting into, I believe, my last set. And this is Romance Again. Or no, there's 2 more sets. This one's cute because this is out of Pennsylvania too. Hershey's chocolate. Love finds you in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Can you imagine a chocolate avenue? Oh, that sounds so good. Cyrilla D. Seacrest. These are the bigger books. This is from 2010. Chef Sadie Spencer has learned that in life as well as in food, sour balances sweet. After returning to her deliciously charming hometown of Hershey with young daughter in tow, Sadie has managed to rise from the ashes following the death of her husband, the passing of her mother, the disillusion of her career as a TV chef with the help and encouragement of her best friend Jasper. She opens a restaurant, looks forward to savoring the sweet side of life. That is until handsome Russian entrepreneur arrives in town, apparently intent on opening his own restaurant in direct competition to hers. Sadie becomes obsessed with honing the one skill she's never had, creating desserts to keep up with her adversary, and in the process she finds love that's simply icing on the cake. So there you go. Cute romance. Hey, Elizabeth. But I like these bigger books. They're nice. And the font's bigger too. Some of the older books, the fonts are so tiny. Is that a kitty cat you have on your... Or no, that's a dog. I can't tell. My eyes are going bad. I know it's an animal. So this one here is called A Wedding Song. I have lots of romances and lots of action and suspense type books for sure. Probably could do a show on each. This is in Lexington, Kentucky. Horses. You see that? There's horses. Pretty horses. I like the horsey books. 2012. What is the right choice? What if the right choice is the wrong guy? Boy, don't we all go through that one. The last thing Megan McKinney wants is a relationship. My daughter made me carry a keychain for years that says men are like lottery tickets. You get through a lot of losers before you find a winner. Oh my gosh. When she bought me that keychain, I about died. As a secretary at a law firm, she sees the high volume of women who stop by to see her boss, Justin Fraser. It's obvious the man finds pleasure in leading on women, a trait Megan finds revolting. Justin is as frustrated as Megan. He's only been a Christian for 3 months and has tried everything to keep the women from his past away. He needs to find a church and finally visits Megan, but he's surprised when she's less enthusiastic about his decision. In spite of her reservations, Megan begins to notice Justin's passion for his newfound faith, but she's also pulled toward a man in her life, Colt Baker, a guy who spent his life following the Lord. Ever since agreeing to teach Colt's niece piano, Megan finds herself looking forward to the lessons and to the time spent with Colt. Can Justin's growing faith win Megan's heart, or will Colt's consistent character prevail? So she's got choices. She got choices to make. Hey, Granny's Vintage. Welcome in, welcome in. Hey, Hammond. Welcome in. If you see anything, feel free to let me know in the auction and I will show it to you. Hey, Goldman. The next book we have, let's see here. Well, if a person likes amethyst, that's what this book's called. It doesn't have a jacket. It's got writing right there. It's a 2005 by Lorene Snelling. And it is Jeremiah McHenry is retiring from the army and returns to Medora to make a new life and find a new wife. Will he be able to convince feisty newcomer Amethyst O'Shaughnessy that he's the kind of man she's been looking for? And I write my little synopsises in the book because it didn't have a jacket. So there's this one. These are the kind that's good to make journals out of too, Pretty, if they don't sell. I have a tote full of some of these that nobody bought previously. You never know what they'll turn into. I had one book I almost didn't post because I like the cover so much. But I got to give them a chance. So the next book I have this is an older one for sure. It's called The Wind and the Music by William E. Barrett, a novel about a priest who falls in love. It's got the deckled edges in it too. It's 1968. It has 3-in-1 books: Portrait of a Celibate, Portrait of a Woman, Tomorrow and Tomorrow. So there's 3 books in this one book. And the front pretty much says it all. The steps on how it happens. Welcome back, Shamir. Okay. Oops. Hit the wrong button. You're quite welcome. This next one's a doozy. Like it's a big book. Those are knees, and she's got flowers on her lap. And it is thick. It is called Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Really nice shape book. I'm sure this was a pretty penny when it first came out too. Well, maybe not. It said $16. That's not too bad. It says, Anna Karina has a beauty, social position, wealth, a husband, and adored son, but her existence seems empty. When she meets the dashing officer, Count Vronsky, she rejects her marriage and turns to him to fulfill her passionate nature, with devastating results. One of the world's greatest novels, Anna Karenina, it's Karenina, different name. It's different. It's pretty. Is both an immortal drama of personal conflict and a social scandal in a vivid, richly textured panorama of the 19th century Russia. It's a scandal. It's scandalous. Hey, Thrifty Missy. I think my neighbor fell asleep on me, pretty. He says, screw her, I ain't coming in there. I am, though, trying to get more people over here. I got my friend John Debut to come over here. It was cool to see her in one of my lives. The next book we have this is another older one. It's called Beulah Land. I love these older covers too. These jackets are so cool. By Lonnie Coleman. It's a linen type. This is from 1973. Love it when they had art stuff. Beulah Land was a rich cotton plantation in Georgia, and here's the vivid, sweeping story of its golden age from 1820 to 1861. The Kendricks were the white masters of 150 black slaves, who was their master and who was slaves are in questions that have no final answers. The pure and profane loves of Leon and Selma Kendrick provided romance and scandal for the whole countryside, reaching from the Davises to the neighboring plantations of Oaks to Savannah, where the beautiful Pennington sisters, Sarah and Loretta, awaited to change of the very destiny of Beulah Land. And all who dwelled there and believed it was the world. The 100 and more who populate this big important novel are people the reader will come to know and love and never forget. All I know is I don't think any book like that will touch me like Roots did. I remember when I read Roots for the first time when I was in middle school and I cried my eyes out. It was horrible. Hold on. My app is failing again. I don't know why it does that. Whatnot. Your glitches are killing me. I can't even imagine being part of that day and age. But I do know that my grandparents were part of the Underground Railroad, and that makes me pretty proud of them. I have proof. I have a newspaper clipping where that farmhouse my parents were raised in. My mother, they had a place where they hid slaves to help them escape. And there's a newspaper story about it. It's like so awesome because they could have got killed too. It's awesome knowing your family was part of the right side. Let me see if that'll start. I don't know if it's Whatnot or if it's my Wi-Fi because my Wi-Fi tends to cut out too. Definitely gets glitchy. Get down past Beulah. I added more books than usual this time. I'm not used to scrolling this far. This book here is called Washington, D.C. by Gore Vidal. Cool looking cover. This is a 1967. This is why we were born, pretty. Look how aged it is. That's how I feel. So anyways, James, let's see, reviewing Gore Vidal's famous Julian for Life magazine, Louis Auchincloss wrote that Vidal was the best political novelist since Disraeli. Now in Washington, D.C., Vidal has shifted from Roman imperial politics to American imperial politics. And with characteristic wit and insight, he traces the fortune of a number of men and women who, in the years of 1937 to 1952, helped to transform the American Republic to what Vidal refers to as possibly the last empire on earth. James Burton Day, a powerful conservative senator, dreams of the presidency, but his ambitions are thwarted by Franklin Roosevelt. His young assistant, Clay Overbury, also dreams of presidency, and by the end of the book, it is quite possible that he may one day achieve his goal. The two men make an extraordinary contrast. For Senator Day, to be honest, is literally demoralizing. For Clay Overbury, nothing matters except winning. And in his immoral, pragmatic way, he is very much a contemporary politician. His career is aided by his father-in-law, Blaise Stanford, a wealthy Washington publisher who understands the importance of money and image in modern politics. In the course of this fascinating novel, many characters are introduced. Some actual historical figures like President Roosevelt and Senator McCarthy appear in the story, as they did in the history of the period, as well as such functional creations as Harold Griffiths, a Washington pundit, Eden Clay's handsome, doomed wife, Irene Bloch, and Washington's most ruthless social climber, and finally, Peter Sanford's Enid's sharp-tongued brother, a liberal editor given to criticizing a society which both fascinates and repels him. I don't know why this falls under a romance, but it did. So it must be all this and plus their mates. Because some of these books I have not read, but when I looked it up, it said it was a romance. That sounds like a political book to me, but some of these books do that. Well, welcome back, old man. So I take it you like gold. Hey now, Cantor, welcome back. I like silver. I'm not much of a gold person. I like silver. But I guess if you need to negotiate with something, gold would be good. Okay. This one here has no jacket. It's another one. This is called Seasons of Her Life by Fern Michaels. I have read some of Fern Michaels' books, and they're pretty good. This is from 1994. Ruby is determined to have a better life when she leaves her bitter childhood behind for a post-World War II Washington, D.C., a job as a Navy secretary. Soon blossoms into love and marriage. I spelled secretary wrong. I hate when I do that. Okay. Into love and marriage. The life of a military wife turns out to be harsher and lonelier than Ruby bargained for. but thought it destroys but though it destroys her illusions, it cannot overcome her determination to succeed and find happiness. She raises 2 children, creates a home, begins baking cookies in the hope of starting a business after years of struggle. Her cookies start to bring in more money than she ever dreamed of, but closest to her heart is the memory of the man she longs for in her soul, a man no cookie can replace. Oh, so that's the Fern Michaels book. That sounds like a cute story. Hey, Kaylee. Hey, Sarah. Welcome in. Welcome in. I notice that sometimes, even if, people don't purchase, but people just hang in a stream, it brings numbers in and more new people. So I try to hang in when I can for people that need, the traffic. I'm so broke right now. I can't wait till Friday. I gotta buy a new cord for my laptop over here because it won't hold a charge. I gave it to my husband pretty. He says it doesn't hold a charge. This is junk. Because he didn't see the pop up where it asked for something about the cord going bad. So I found a cord on Amazon. I got to order for it. I'll fix it and use it. This book here, I debated. I still might read this one. I don't know if it doesn't sell. We'll have to see. Because it looks like a good one. This one here is called The Husband's Secret by Liane Moriarty. I don't know how to say her name. The trouble with the truth that it can change everything. This looks like a good book. So it's just white. And it's a 2013 novel. It's got some foxing, some speckles on it. But listen to the story. Imagine that your husband wrote you a letter to be opened after his death. I particularly would like the P.S. I love you ones, but this one here is interesting. Imagine too that letter contains his deepest, darkest secret, something that with the potential to destroy not just the life you built together, but the lives of others as well. Imagine then that you stumble across the letter while your husband is still very much alive. Sylvia Fitzpatrick has achieved it all. She's an incredibly successful businesswoman, a pillar of a small community, and a devoted wife and mother. Her life is orderly and spotless as her home, but a letter is about to change everything, and not just for her. Rachel and Tess barely know Cecilia or each other, but they are about to feel the earth-shattering repercussions of her husband's secret. Acclaimed author has written a gripping, thought-provoking novel, and how well it is possible to really know our spouses and ultimately ourselves. It just looks like a good book. I don't know. His deep, dark secrets change everything. My phone is blowing up with all these new people coming live. Wednesday must be a popular night. Guess everybody likes being live on hump day. Okay, and the last romance I have for tonight, this is called Quintins. And this book is really, really cool. I mean, just the imagery by Maeve Binchy, but look at the inside. This is a 2002, and in the front and back, look at that. Look at that. Oh my gosh. I like the inside. This is what the outside of the book looks like. But oh, this is so pretty having this storefront. So this is a nice looking book. It's got a little bit of foxing on it too. This was originally $25.95. That's expensive. $30 book. It is possible to tell a story of a generation and city through the history of a restaurant. Ella Brady thinks so. She wants to film a documentary about Quintins that will capture the spirit of Dublin from the 1970s to the present day. After all, the restaurant saw the people of a city become more confident in everything from their lifestyle to the food that they chose to eat. And Quintins has 1,000 stories to tell. Tales of love, betrayal, of revenge, of times when it looked ready for success, of times when it seemed as if it must be closed in failure. In Maeve's magical new book, you will meet new friends and old. The twins from Scarlet Feather, Signora from Evening Class, and Ria Road all drop by, as do a host of new friends. Mon, the ever-cheerful Australian waitress, and Blas Brennan, whose simplicity disguises a sharp mind and a heart of gold. This is cool. People that visit the restaurant. They have a history. Cool book. Jacket's in good shape too. Unknown user. That's a different name. And now that we have finished the romance, we're going back to education. And this will be the last section of the evening. Pick these up. And there are some good ones in this one too. Especially for some history buffs. The first book is called The Journals of Andre Gide. It's translated, and this is actually volume 1. The translation is from 1889 to 1924 is when he made these journals. These journals are remarkable and wonderful books. They contain as much of the artist's heart and mind as we have any right to expect, and they will probably stand as his most complete and enduring works, a skillful and absorbing mixture of portraits and places of drawing room gossip and metaphysical speculation, of remarkable passages of it's a mouthful, literary criticism and moral scrutiny, of lyrical outbursts and personal revelations. So this looks really good. And there he is. Hey, Zork. These names are so funny. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. Trying to even cup it. I wish there was a way we could tag their names. I don't know how. I don't know the trick to that. There's got to be a way to tag people faster. Haven't figured out the cheat sheet yet. In the next book we have, I love her as an actress. I think she's awesome. I wish I could find some Olympia Dukakis books too, though. But this is Dancing in the Light by Shirley MacLaine. This is from 1986. I loved her in terms of endearment. Outspoken, controversial, talented, and perceptive, Shirley MacLaine now takes us on an intimate and fascinating personal odyssey. In 1984, she won an Oscar, starred on a Broadway, wrote the best-selling Out on a Limb, and turned 50 years old. At this special time in this special year, she was now ready to resume the spiritual journey she had begun in her early 40s. In Dancing in the Light, Shirley MacLaine bears her innermost self and explores the lives, both past and present, which touched and affected her own. She sheds new light on her love, her losses, her childhood, her passions, and her inner drives and ambitions. She asks poignant questions and finds surprising answers. She challenges her beliefs and confronts her conflicts. Ultimately, she takes us with her through a life-altering experience that provides a stunning new vision of herself, her future, and the fate of the world. So there is Shirley MacLaine. And hey, Gold, welcome back. You're showing on my laptop, but you're not showing on my phone for some reason. Hey, Heather Ann. Oh my gosh, I had a cat we called Heather Ann. Heather and Hope, but my husband used to call her Heather Ann. That's so funny. I love it. Yes, my two kitty cats I used to have. 21 and 22 years they lived with us. We were so blessed. But it's funny how he called her Heather Ann. He gave her a middle name. That's too cute. I'll have to tell him that a Heather Ann popped in my stream. This is The Conquest of Spain by Bernal Diaz. This is from 1983. The defeat of the Aztecs by Herman Cortez and his small band of adventurers is one of the most startling military feats in history. 50 years after the event, Bernal Diaz, which was 1498 to 1580, who served under Cortez, wrote this magnificent account of the march from the coasts, Montezuma's death, the massacre of the Spaniards, and the eventual capture of the capital of Mexico. Interesting. Interesting history. I know. I think it's funny too. He never gave Hope a middle name. Here, I'll show you a picture of them. I mean, we were blessed to have them as long as we did. I miss them very much so. 21 and 22 years is a long time. They're the longest animals I ever had. They were sisters from the same litter. That's Hope and that's Heather. And how we could tell them apart, this is when they grew up, is Hope had a white spot right here and Heather didn't, but they were so fun to have the same sisters from the same litter. They were amazing. So I made a memory journal of them both. I just love them to pieces. Every time I find something to do with black cats, I stick it in here because I turn this into like a Halloween fall journal. That's Heather. Heather Ann, he would call her. We never had it on her paperwork. He just would call her that. Yep, that was my kitties. My little kitties. Okay. Next book we have. This book looks interesting. Something different that I have never seen really come through my bookstore before. I thought it was definitely different. It's a cute little book. It looks like it was a library. I Will Be Cleopatra, An Actress's Journey by Zoe Caldwell. It's just too cute. And it's from 2001. And it's just her journey. It says, Zoe Caldwell's I Will Be Cleopatra is exactly like her acting, clean, direct, and magnificent. She's a golden age of theater unto herself, and her book is touched with such flashes of illumination of the actor's craft that a civilian can only feel grateful. The mystery of what makes a great actor has never been looked at with more candor and common sense and less glamour and gossip than here. This is a book anyone can even remotely interested in the theater will insist on reading. It's cute. It's littler. I like it. Hey Samantha, thank you. I'm getting ready to do one on my dog too eventually. Hey Barwinky. I actually bought a journal off of one of my friends, Danny from YouTube, and she did like a little pocket one you can carry in your purse. And I saw it, and it's got a cover of it's like an older picture of a girl hugging her dog, and it just hit me. That would be such a cute brag book to put my dog's pictures in. So that's something I'll work on because I like buying other people's work too. So I've just been saving up pictures that eventually I'll print. I just print them on cardstock. Next book I have has no jacket again. This one is called The Beard's New Basic History of the United States. And it's definitely an older book. And it is from 1960. So it's not updated. It's not new. But it does cover a lot of history. And it's got pictures and stuff in it. And it's written by a husband, a wife, and their son. It's Charles, Mary, and William Beard. And it's just got all kinds of history up to this point. It was between certain years. Let me see what it says back here. I think it was from the 50s to the 60s because it was updated then. Copyright was 1944 to 1960. So the first one was published in 1944. So it's like between that time. You'll have the exploration of the colonizing agencies, immigration to the colonies, agricultural beginnings, and how it went to government and all that. Clear to the extreme limits of Axis dominance in World War II. So it did cover a lot of history. So there is that book. If anybody's a history buff. Gold, where you been? Alrighty, you have a good one. And thanks for coming in, Prinny. Working. You being a workaholic. Hey, Miss Florida, gold meet Prinny. Prinny meet gold before you leave. I'll make him moderator too, so he'll fill in when you go to bed. I'm almost done. Well, geez, you must be a workaholic. I watched one guy last night do his live. Oh my gosh, he was so funny. If you ever get the chance, oh, come on. Here, you can't leave too. I hope you mean Prinny. But if you get the chance, let me get his link in here. If you like high-end brands, they find them used, but you can get really good deals on like Louis Vuittons and stuff. I'm going to put him in here. Trevor's amazing. I've never seen somebody with so much energy. He was doing everything last night to keep moving in his live. And I'm hoping I can have enough people in here at the end of the sale we could go raid them. Because he is so much fun. He was dancing and jumping up and down and doing everything. Stay awake. Because he had a really long live and he's trying to grow his business. And they do a really good job. I actually got a really decent deal on a Coach wallet through them. And but yeah, it's a lot of work when you're starting your business for sure. Hey Jezebel, I told him you eat, sleep, and eat your business when you're growing it. I know that's what happened to me with this bookstore because I didn't want to have any loans or charge cards. And my best advice to anybody that starts your own business, I don't care if it's online or offline, don't go in debt. Don't charge anything. Have enough capital saved up to invest in cash so you don't go in debt. Because that's why a lot of businesses fail. So I used my second job to build my bookstore and I paid cash for everything so I didn't go in debt. So, but so I know what he's going through building his business. It's a lot of work. So the next book we have, because I'm almost done tonight too. I remembered this lady. At first I saw her face. I'm like, where do I know her from? She actually starred in a night soap called Falcon Crest. Gosh, I haven't heard of Falcon Crest in years. But I remember watching a little of it when I was younger. This is Jane Wyman. And this is her biography. Look, it's even still got the library card. And it's got pictures of her growing up. And I always put these in the educational section because to me, somebody's life is educational, what they share. And this was from 1985. And I think there is a picture. Yes. This was she played Angela Channing in Falcon Crest. So there's a lot of pictures in here and stuff to read about her biography. She's the star of one of television's top-rated shows and is currently reported to be the highest-paid actress on TV. For years before that, she was the top movie star, winning an Oscar for her performance in Johnny Belinda. Even more significant than ever of these achievements, however, is Jane Wyman's singular distinction, having been married to a man who was President of the United States, a claim no other Hollywood star can make. An association that Miss Wyman tries desperately to avoid. However, it is just this association that seems to have been responsible for the longevity of her acting career, one that has outlasted those of the most of her contemporaries. Now, for the first time, the true story behind the Jane Wyman-Ronald Reagan courtship, marriage, and divorce is revealed, along with the impact the separation had on the couple's two children. And while her marriage to Reagan may have been the high point of Jane Wyman's personal life, events occurring before and after Ronnie make for a highly colorful story that comprises details of three other marriages, two to the same man. In real life, she's a flamboyant, vibrant person possessed of enormous vitality, strong-willed determination, and a terrific sense of humor. So she had a life, for sure. Sounds like an interesting biography. It's weird how a certain time of the night, my app will start work. It's just weird how some people show up and some people don't that come in and out of the stream on different. I see Jezebel on my phone, but not on my laptop. It's so weird. They keep switching to who's showing who's coming in where. Okay. The next educational book I have is called Due to Circumstances Beyond Our Control by Fred W. Friendly. What a name. This is what the book looks like. This is all about journalism. This is 1967. And because television can make so much money doing its worst, it often cannot afford to do its best. The paradox summarizes the dilemma of commercial television today and the theme of this occupational memoir of Fred Friendly's 16 years at the Columbia Broadcasting System. During that period, he produced hundreds of documentaries and public service programs, more than any other individual in the history of television. So if you're into anything to do with TV and broadcasting, this would be a nice historical book for someone. The jacket's not in the best shape, but the book seems to be pretty fair condition. And all the pages are there, so. Hey, Cody, welcome in. If anybody sees anything they want me to show, I will. In the auction, if you want anything to see anything out of the bin, just make a request and I'll write it down and bring the books out at the next auction, because I don't have those books around me. And hey now, Cantor, welcome back. The next book I have, I'll go in order unless you have requests, and then I'll show you. This I put under educational. I kind of didn't know what genre at first to put this under, but then I thought, you know, it's kind of an educational experience, so I'm going to leave it there. This is The Search for the Girl with Blue Eyes. This is a venture into reincarnation. This was actually based on a real interview. And this is by Jess Stern. The jacket's not in the best condition, but it did protect the book. It's a little shabby. It's in fair condition, but it is from 1968. And it says, all of the riddles that tantalize men, perhaps the most persistent is reincarnation. Here, answers to an age-old questions about the meaning of life and the promise of life after death seem to glimmer among the eternal shadows. This is the region. The Search for the Girl with the Blue Eyes dramatically explores the story it tells. It's amazing. Joanne McIver is an attractive young woman living today in Vancouver, Canada. Susan Gaynor ostensibly lived a withdrawn, sheltered life on an isolated farm in central Ontario a century ago. What links these two women together becomes one of the most remarkable ventures into reincarnation ever recorded. For Joanne McIver remembers a previous life she lived 100 years ago as Susan Gaynor. Excitement begins early in this extraordinary book from the moment the author was asked by the editor to investigate the story of Joanne's past life, and it continues throughout his adventures into rebirth. The reader travels every step of the way with Jess Stern as he searches for factual evidence of Joanne's story. Did Susan Gaynor really exist? Where was her husband buried? Could Joanne McIver have been brainwashed? Could she have known about Susan Gaynor before her previous life was remembered? Was her claim merely a hoax? Had Joey and MacGyver in fact lived past lives? Did Joey and story and life prove reincarnation one of life's mysterious truths? Very interesting. And whether it's true or not, it's still to me educational because it makes you think. So that's why I stuck it there. So that is running. And welcome in CSK Sports. I think that's what your name says. I can't see you on my phone, but I see you on my laptop. And then the next book we have, if you like studying presidents, this is Decision Points by George W. Bush. That's what the book looks like. It's just a black book. It was originally $35. Whew, I got it for $4. Look at that savings. 2010 is the copyright. George W. Bush served as President of the United States during 8 of the most consequential years in American history. The decision that reached his desk impacted people around the world and defined the times in which we live. Decision points bring readers inside the Texas governor's mansion on the night of the 2000 election aboard the Air Force One during the harrowing hours after the attacks of September 11th into a situation room moments before the start of the war in Iraq and behind the scenes of the White House for many other historic presidential decisions. For the first time, we learned President Bush's perspective and insights on his decisions to quit drinking and the journey that led him to Christian faith. The selection of the Vice President, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, Supreme Court justices, and other key officials. His relationship with his wife, daughters, and parents, including heartfelt letters between the president and his father on the eve of the Iraq War. His administration's counterterrorism programs, including the CIA's enhanced interrogations and the terrorist surveillance program. Why the worst moment of the presidency was hearing accusations that race played a role in the federal government response to Hurricane Katrina, and the critical assessment of what he would have done differently during the crisis. His deep concern that Iraq could turn into a defeat costlier than Vietnam, and how he decided to defy public opinion by ordering the troop surge. His legislative achievements, including tax cuts and reforming education and Medicare, as well as his setbacks, including Social Security and immigration reform. And it just keeps going. Everything he did and why he did it, written in his own words. So if you like George Bush, here's a good book. I have a few of the books on certain presidents. It's pretty interesting. Hey, Mashbo. And then the last book I have of the night is a big one. It's a doozy. If you want to see anything in the auction, please feel free to let me know. And I could show you the book. If it's in the bin, I can pull it out for the next sale. This is huge. Like, this is a really big book. Parting the Waters, America in the King Years between 1954 and 1963 by Taylor Branch. This book is big. Still has the card in it from the library. And it is written, copyrighted 1988. And it says, in Parting Waters, the first volume of his America in the King years, Taylor Branch begins an epic of America on the threshold of its most explosive era. Moving from the fiery political baptism of young Southern minister named Martin Luther King to the FBI in the corridors of Camelot, where the Kennedy brothers weighed demands for justice against political realities and the deceptions of J. Edgar Hoover, parting the waters is a vivid tapestry of our nation torn and finally transformed by a revolutionary struggle unequaled since the Civil War, the American Civil Rights Movement. Through a gallery of characters, from presidents and movie stars to students, government agents, journalists, and ordinary citizens whose lives were changed forever, Branch takes us into the streets and jails where their battles for freedom were fought, and drawing from previously unreleased tape recordings of the Kennedys and of the King in private, he reveals the deals, maneuvers, betrayals, and rivalries that determine history behind closed doors. Branch chronicles the struggle from the twilight of the Eisenhower years through the rise of the King and the bitter presidential contest of 1960, where the outcome turned on the Kennedys' camp's reluctant campaign for the black vote. We experienced the arrest of Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycott, the lunch counter sit-ins, the bloody freedom rides, which fanned tensions between the King and the administration, the violent confrontation at Ole Miss, the siege of Birmingham, the church of bombings, the murder of Medgar Evers, and the struggle reached its apex, the nightmare of Kennedy's assassination. Branch provides a revealing, unsurpassed portrait of Martin Luther King, never seen before, a sophisticated man at revolt against his own heritage, gravitating between conscience and temptation. Similarly, Branch illuminates the private conflicts of John and Robert Kennedy, pragmatic politicians whose liberal sympathies did not preclude the appointment of conservative Southern judges. Here, too, is J. Edgar Hoover, who harassed the movement with secret wiretaps and trumped-up charges of communism, and who manipulated JFK with his knowledge of the president's most intimate secrets. In addition, we come to know Stanley Levinson, King's controversial and closest confidant, the remarkable Robert Moses of CNCC, the flamboyant Bayard Rustin, and the heroes among Kennedy's men, John Dower and John Siegenthaler, who braved bloody attacks and scorn of Southern sheriffs. Monumental in scope and impact, Parting the Waters is a masterpiece of American history with the century's most dynamic leaders as its center. So there you go. Big old chunk of history in a big old book. Hey, Fost. Oh, you got a kitty kitty. What a cute little kitty kitty. And we had a Sam come in. Welcome in all the people that I missed. Sheets. Trying to get everybody that I missed coming in. Cody Ross. And Jessabelle 88. Welcome, welcome. So I'll run this one more time. I don't know if it took. So who come in? We can do a raid. Hey, Beer Man. You want to help me do a raid? I actually just finished the rest of my show. I was trying to get some more people in here to do a raid. I like doing raids, but nobody ever sticks around long enough to get one done. Welcome in. I hope you had a good day. Gonna rerun the Parting Waters. Hey, Dave the Pitman. I know, it's like, where is everybody? I think raids are so fun. Well, we'll go ahead and do one if you don't mind. I'm going to set one up. Here we go.